Hello, this is Uday. In this video, we are going to discuss about Azure Data Lake Storage services. So Azure Data Lake Storage services are one of the services that Microsoft Azure is providing for storing a huge data that is required for big data analytics and all. So before we discuss about Azure Data Lake Storage, it is required to have a basic information about what are the Azure Storage Data Services and information about Azure Blob Storage Services in order to understand the data lake storage services better. So we have already created the detailed video on Azure Storage Data Services and Azure Blob Storage Services. So I would recommend you to please watch the videos in order to understand the Azure Data Lake Storage Services. Through the current video, we are going to understand the introduction to Azure Data Lake Storage, the difference between the Data Lake Storage Generation 1 and Data Lake Storage Generation 2. We are going to look into some key features of Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 2. So coming to the introduction of Azure Data Lake Storage services. So Azure Data Lake Storage is an enterprise-wide hyperscale repository for big data analytics workload. It enables you to capture data of any size, type, and ingestion speed in one single place for operational and exploratory analytics. Data Lake Storage can be accessed from Hadoop using WebHDFS-compatible REST API. Besides that, it is designed to enable analytics on stored data and is tuned for performance for data analytics scenarios. Data Lake Storage includes all enterprise-grade capabilities such as security, manageability, scalability, reliability, and availability. So through this image, let's try to understand how Azure Data Lake Storage works. Suppose we have a data that has been captured from various sources like devices, social media platforms. It might be from videos, sensors, through the web. So this data from various sources can be stored at Azure Data Lake Storage, and here it will enrich the data, cleans, annotate, and schematize the data that is used for present and future analysis. So once the data is been ready, further used for analysis using various analytic engines such as Hadoop and Spark. Using the data from Azure Data Lake Storage services, we can retrieve the batch queries, we can get the interactive queries, real-time analysis, machine learning, and data warehouse. So this is the basic overview of how Azure Data Lake Storage works. So further, Azure Data Lake Storage is being categorized into Generation 1 and Generation 2. So as Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 1 will be retired from February 29, 2024, it is recommended to migrate all the services from Generation 1 to Generation 2 using Azure Portal. Let's try to understand what are the benefits that we are going to get when we migrate data from Generation 1 to Generation 2. So Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 1 and Generation 2 are two different storage offerings from Microsoft Azure. They are both used for storing data but have different capabilities. Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 1 is a file storage service that is used for storing data in the cloud, whereas Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 2 is a cloud-based data warehouse that is used for storing as well as analyzing the data. So Data Lake Storage Generation 1 supports batching, whereas for Data Lake Storage Generation 2, we do not require any batching as we are storing and analyzing the data at the same place. Looking at the pricing, the Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 1 offers lower pricing than Data Lake Storage Generation 2, obviously as it is used for various purposes like storing and analyzing data. The pricing would be obviously higher than Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 1. Now let's look at some key features of Data Lake Storage Generation 2. Hadoop compatible access. Data Lake Storage Generation 2 allows you to manage and access data just as you do with a Hadoop distributed file systems. The new ABFS driver that is used to access data is available within all Apache Hadoop environments. So these environments include Azure HD Insights, Azure Databricks, and Azure Synapse Analytics. The second feature that we are going to get with Data Lake Storage Generation 2 is it is a superset of POSIX permissions. The security model for Data Lake Generation 2 supports ACL and POSIX permission along with some extra granularity specific to Data Lake Storage Generation 2. Settings may be configured through Storage Explorer or through frameworks like Hive and Spark. There are few optimized drivers that we are going to get with Data Lake Storage Generation 2, such as the ABS driver that is optimized specifically for big data analytics. The corresponding REST API are surfaced through the endpoint DFS core window.net. So even though we saw that the pricing for Data Lake Storage Generation 2 is higher than Data Lake Generation 1, as Generation 2 includes services for both storing and analyzing data, but still Data Lake Storage Generation 2 offers low-cost storage capacity and transactions. Features such as Azure Blob Storage Lifecycle optimize cost as data transitions through its lifecycle. So this is all about the overview of Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 2 services. I hope the video is helpful to you. If you like the video, please hit the like button, and if you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for getting the latest notifications whenever we upload the new video. Thank you.